I think I've more or less explained from my point of view what were the most important element of the life of Hergé. I don't know if you want to react about the author and to raise question. It's up to you if you want to do that now or after. Otherwise, I will try to explain a little bit more the cinematographic influence and what Hergé did or participate in terms of audiovisual. I will explain here something which is interesting with the video of Fina for you to understand how Hergé were working and again its influence from the movie activity. Hold on. I will put the sound.
Vous allez nous expliquer en quelques minutes comment vous procédez. Ça, voilà. D'abord, cette planche, c'est extrait de quel album?
C'est l'album des Picaros. C'était une planche en surnombre d'ailleurs.
So here he explained the first pages is basically what we call a rough cut, you know. So he explained the different steps of his work. So this, what you are going to see, is a rough cut with a lot of note, tentative of drawing and so on.
Utilisé, ceci, c'est en tout petit, c'est l'avant-projet de la planche.
Begin, no, it's okay. Okay, it's fine.
C'est le découpage de la planche.
C'est le découpage, oui.
Hein? C'est fait très rapidement, comme vous voyez, et il en faut parfois de très nombreux pour arriver à avoir le suspense final. Une fois que c'est fait, je mets au crayon, voilà.
So the second step, when he has all his ideas, all his sketches, try to figure out what panel is coming and the sequence of the different panels. The rough cut of the page, he starts the second pages, which is really the pencil pages. And that's what Hergé is explaining now.
Crayon, ça simplement, ça se précise. Et pour préciser encore certaines choses, on prend des croquis pour avoir cette main.
So here it's become a little bit more clear in his mind. And he also explained that he took some drawings of small elements.
Se trouve quelque part ici, je ne sais pas où elle est, des gros plans, des croquis, voyez-vous. Et quand ce travail est fait, c'est un travail assez long, bien entendu. Hein, je vous l'explique très rapidement.
Oui, bien sûr.
Et à ce moment-là, je prends de ceci, qui est déjà enrichi par les croquis, des calques. Des calques de ce dessin-là, par exemple, je choisis le trait qui me paraît le meilleur, le plus...
And then the next step, when you have these pencil pages, now, in fact, Hergé will use a kind of transparent pages, a kind of layers, and he will decide what is the best line for him based upon these pencil pages.
Le plus net, le plus vigoureux, et je le porte alors sur une feuille de papier blanc, propre au moins, parce qu'il m'arrive de percer le papier.
Alors avant
So again, so that's very important process. So he select what is the best line, and we call the clear line also, which is an expression which has been created, called by Jo Swart, who works also with us. It's a famous Dutch comic author. He worked on the museum in the 1970. During the 70s, Jo Swart invent the word clean line for the drawings of Hergé. But also the clear line means also not only about the drawings, but also about the storytelling. So you have to understand that, and probably it's the concept of clear line is much more adapted for the storytelling than the drawing. And Hergé himself was saying and was making comparison with Franquin. Franquin is the author of Spirou, of Gaston Lagaffe, and other famous comics. And Hergé was saying that Franquin was drawing better than him but Hergé was telling story better than him. That's his words.
Aller plus loin, je voudrais donner la parole au cinéaste, à Yves Robert, qui est très très intrigué par votre explication. N'est-ce pas, Yves?
Oui, parce que c'est un découpage tout à fait précis. Hitchcock fait la même chose avec ses films. On peut décrire plan par plan, on peut donner un terme technique à tous les dessins que vous avez montrés.
Eh bien, tenez, justement, on va essayer. Là, Rémi, nous sommes sur cette planche-là. Je vais vous montrer tous les dessins et vous allez employer le langage du cinéaste.
Alors, attendez, quel...
So here you have Yves Robert, who is a director of a famous director, and he is going to explain the different cinematographic term that he can find in a page of Tintin and the Picaros.
Planche prenez-vous? Je ne vois rien. Non,
là.
oui, celle-là.
Ah.
Alors là, vous avez un plan rapproché.
So here he said that it's a plan rapproché. I try to have the best translation in English, but it's, let's say we can call it a tight close-up, which means more or less head and shoulder.
Plan général.
The second panel he showed was a medium or a general shot, which means a full-length view of the human subject.
Caméra subjective comme vue par le personnage.
So here, the first panel on your right, it's what we call a point of view shot, a kind of subjective camera in the movie.
Plan de détail, raccord mouvement, ce qu'on appelle.
Then the fourth with the statute is extreme close-up, which is called in French plan de détail, plus a cut with the film for the transition, because you can see to the panel that he pointed, you can see the statute in the back, and that gives the transition, of course.
Retour au plan général, puisqu'il y a les deux personnages.
So back to the medium shot.
Gros plan, et même en dessous, plan subjectif aparté d'un des personnages.
Again, the close-up, plus back camera subjective.
Passons en dessous. Replan général. Plan rapproché.
Again, plan general, back to the medium shot. And here we are going to have a tight close-up with depth of field.
Chez avant-plan avec profondeur de champ puisque le personnage s'éloigne.
Oui.
Nous repassons à un plan américain à porte fermée de l'autre côté.
So here it's an American shot.
Et nous allons maintenant retourner, en effet, retour du personnage qui a été appelé, avec amorce du personnage qui l'appelle, avantage au personnage principal. D'où, alors, c'est un plan profil, style plan rapproché, et puis nous arrivons maintenant au plan amorce à l'américaine et plan amorce rapproché et plan américain au lointain.
So, and the last is really a shot and reverse shot with a profile view. So, shot and reverse in French. I forgot, sorry. So that explains you basically the way that Hergé was working. I think it's really a very clever presentation. Personally, I found very clever from Yves Robert.
Alors, non, bravo Hergé.
Ce Jourdain, je faisais de la prose sans le savoir, mais c'était...
And funny enough, Hergé was reacting, he's saying he was really surprised by this explanation of Yves Robert about his pages, and he say, je fais de la prose sans le savoir, so I'm a poet without knowing him, without knowing that I'm a poet, you know.
Vous devriez donner des cours à l'IDEC.
À l'IDEC. Alors Hergé, là on va se reculer un petit peu. Alors là la couleur apparaît. Vous reculez un petit peu là.
C'est ça. Bon, bah, le dessin est définitif en noir et blanc et là en dessous.
So here, the next step of the book, you have the color. So the pages is, we call that le bleu de couleur, and it's under the transparent page you can see on the screen. And when the drawing was finished and was clean, after that there was le bleu de couleur, and it was made by handmade, And of course, Fanny Rodwell was one of the person coloring the work of Hergé. And on top of the blood couleur, you put a transparent, we call that transparent, I don't know, transparent. And the transparent is in ink, with the ink. So you can put it on the blood couleur, and you have a page which is ready, and you just need to fulfill the bubble speech, and then you have your final pages.
Oui. Et il y a ici donc le dessin colorié.
C'est ça, voilà.
Hein, voilà,
You see
le
the
coloriage.
transparent on top,
Le coloriage
and
qui
the
est donc,
blood couleur you don't have
avec alors
any
le
line.
film qui vient se mettre au-dessus. Et ici,
Voilà.
après avoir fait le texte, voilà la planche telle qu'elle paraîtra dans l'album. En plus petit, bien entendu, les albums sont plus petits que ça. Hein.
Eh bien voilà un cours. Et je crois qu'on comprend mieux maintenant comment on est.
Just to mention, so the last comment of Hergé, that of course he worked on the pages. He worked on the pages which is bigger than the page which is published, because the pages will be then photographed and then reduced in the format of the album. For me, it's one of the most interesting video. Just to explain that the first tentative of audiovisual adaptation of the album started in 1939. And we are calling that fixed film. So basically, it's a role. It's a role of I forgot the name in English. Like a movie, image by image, and then you put it in a projector, and you turn, and each image is presented on the wall. That was really the first. It's really a shame that we cannot have the video, but that was really the first experience of adaptation in audiovisuals. After that, the first feature film was an animated film, was a puppet film made in 1947. I will show you an extract from YouTube if it works. That's a crab with the golden claws. And this movie is incredible. It exists on DVD. We published it in DVD. And the budget was terrible, and they face really financial problems. But they were able to finish the film. But it was shown only once after the producer became bankrupt. That was in 1947. It's one of the first, of course, in Eastern country. I think there were also a number of animation, but it's one of the first made in Europe, I think. Here you have Snowy. It's nice to compare the different technology with today and at that time, of course.
Évidemment, Milou. Ça devait bien t'arriver un jour, avec ta vilaine habitude d'explorer les poubelles. Et ce que je fouille dans les poubelles, moi, j'ai encore eu de la chance. J'aurais pu te couper. Regarde, comme les bords sont tranchants. Allons en route. Et ne recommence plus. Sinon, je te mettrai une muselière et je te tiendrai en laisse.
So it's really built image by image, with mechanic puppet.
Encore un niveau, garçon. Ce cher Tintin. Quelle joie de le revoir.
After that, Hergé wrote to Walt Disney a letter because he was not really satisfied by this work, and he wrote a letter to Walt Disney just to ask if it would be possible that Walt Disney Studios takes his album and to create an animation of the album. unfortunately, he received and he sent to Walt Disney a few albums with the letter. And 3 weeks after, he got a negative response with the album back from Walt Disney. So this attempt failed. After this 1947 animated puppet film, in the end of 1950, there was a series which has been made. I will show you one of the capture for the TV. And hopefully we have one example here, the Black Island. I will not try to stream the video. And this series was made for TV. A number of albums have been adapted. And it was made in collaboration with the American. And among others, Larry Larmon. I don't know if you know him very well, but this guy makes also the adaptation of Popeye in USA. I have one picture of him. I will try to find. He just died. He died a few years ago. I have a pictures normally of him. I will try to find out. Here. It's not Larry Harmon. That's Almodovar. It's a nice pictures of. It's the beginning of the movie of Almodovar, and you have a small reference to Tintin. You can see the moon rocket on the back. And Larry Harmon is here. You see, this guy just died a few years ago. He was making the voice of the Tintin Adventures. That was his voice when the movie was starting on the screen. So we don't have too many archive of this black and white animated series. Then after beginning of the 60s, I will try maybe to find an extract on YouTube. We have two live films, Les Oranges Bleues and let me check. I have Les Oranges Bleues and c'est les mystères de la Toison d'Or. These two films were the live films with real actors, and the main Tintin actor is still existing. He was at the premiere. We have just for your information, we try to have a special arrangement with Google to track any counterfeiting issue. So we are I wouldn't say every day, but every week we track all the shit on YouTube. So one movie was made in 1961, this one, and Les Oranges Bleues where the live action took place in Istanbul, in 1964.
Alors, capitaine, les nouvelles sont bonnes?
Une lettre d'Istanbul.
Hein?
That's the laboratory of Calculus that got some problems.
Victoire! 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 Mon nouveau carburant est au point. Enfin, presque.
So,
Une source d'énergie nouvelle est née.
for your information, they were good actors in these movies, and also Jacques Brel participated to the soundtrack of one of the two movies.
J'ai l'honneur et l'avantage de vous avertir que cette comédie a assez duré.
After these two live films, there were three length feature films. I will try to show you one. Just for your, just to remind you, so the two live films were based on scenario, on new scenario. It was not adapted from the album. It was really two new scenario that you cannot find in the album.
Je m'appelle Tintin. Voici le capitaine Haddock. Ah, lui, c'est Milou.
Moi, c'est Nico. Et elle,
Voilà. And then I will show afterwards. Of course, there were a famous documentary about Hergé himself, made in 1976. That was really the first documentary about Hergé. It has been made by two journalists in Belgium, and that documentary has been nominated to the Festival of Cannes. After we need to jump to the early of the year 1990 to see the famous TV series that probably a number of people or children have seen during the 90s. I will give you an example of this adaptation. That's the Blue Lotus. So this series has been made in different formats. You have format of 40 minutes, and then you have more or less 21 or 21st film, or you have a format which is less than 40 minutes, it's 20 minutes, and then you have more or less 40 episodes. And it's still working quite well because we are selling those animated series still on TV, and also we know commercialize them via iTunes. And although the movie of Spielberg is there, this series is still very popular. Thereafter, we have produced a number of documentaries about and related to the subject of Hergé. I co-produced myself 7 films, and there were another series co-produced which was made before I joined Moulinsart, about 5 films. And in total, I have a catalog now on Tintin.com with the web TV about 100 films. TV reports, archive, feature film, documentary, really a great catalog. And on top of that, we have the animation, short films of Quick and Flip, another character created by Hergé. And there we have 260 animated film of 1 minute. Now I will speak, that's the last part of my presentation. I will show you the making of. I will explain a little bit what were the challenge for Steven Spielberg, although I'm not really the right person to do it because it's always better than the creator themselves are doing this. But I think it's still interesting to have just a focus about a number of issues that the team was facing. You know, one of the big problems that Weta is the studio of Peter Jackson in New Zealand. So they have Weta Workshop and Weta Digital. One of the major points they were facing for Tintin is, of course, the face of Tintin, because Tintin is like a circle. You know, there was one expert in comics in US which have classified in a kind of triangle all the character, the famous and the popular character. On the base and on the right of the triangle, you have what we call the concept. On the left, you have what we call the realism. And on top of the triangle, we have what we call the artistic. And with these three major elements, he can classify all the comics character. And of course, the positioning of Tintin, compared with these three elements, Tintin is really close to the concept, really close. The closest to the concept is the smiley, because you have a circle and you have a smile, and all the people around the world can understand what does that mean, you know. And Tintin is not that far from this smiley and this concept. But of course, he's facing a lot of challenge when you want to adapt that on screen, because a round face, you don't have the expression of the face. And clearly, Weta has to mix and to make really a mixture of the round face of Tintin and the face of Jimmy Bell, and to bring them in once and be sure that it works, especially for the expression. And that I think has been a success, although of course there were a great number of attempts by Weta in order to get the result we can see on the screen. I remember to have met Peter Jackson in Brussels a long time ago, and one of the major comments, because they have brought with them a kind of preview to show to our team and to see what was the reaction of our team with the first test on screen and the first adaptation. And there was one comment about the face of Tintin. So they have really worked hard to get the result that we have today. Another challenge, another big challenge is, of course, the air. Water and air seems to be a nightmare for the people, and I wouldn't say the animator, but the computer guy. And that was also a great challenge for them. And what I understood, they were taking a lot of documentation, even to create this famous quiff, and that was hard work also. And there is one point they have faced also, because here we have created it's a computerized generate film. It's not an animation, so there is a difference between computerized generate film and animation. There is only one character which has been animated. What I understood is Snowy. The other character have been computerized, but based on movement capture. For Snowy, there were only a few movement capture. And one major obstacle also, and that was often written in the press, is the phenomenon we call uncanny valley. In French, it's called the disturbing valley, la vallée dérangeante, and that term has been used in the robot industry. When you are creating a robot which looks like human, apparently the spectator or the viewer have a big problem with robots which looks like human, you know. And in a way there is a gap between these robots and the viewer. So you have to fill in the gap, and that was one of the major obstacle for Weta, how to fill in the gap. And more the characters looks like a human, more you have this problem. And Peter Jackson said that he solved this reaction through the eyes of the character he created on the screen. Apparently everything is passing through the eyes to avoid this reluctance from the viewers.